Hi, art teachers. This is a photograph by Dawn Stahl of Hope Gangloff working in her studio, and since artists working in their studios is what we are going to be talking about today, it seemed fitting to start with this artwork. Dear art teachers, TAB, or Teaching for Artistic Behavior, has saved my sanity during distance learning. Today I want to share how that worked and give you the basics in case it could be helpful to you too. The handout will have this as well as a bunch of other resources in case you need them. You have my love and respect, Kathryn. So TAB, or Teaching for Artistic Behavior, has a 3-sentence kind of guiding curriculum. What do artists do? The child is the artist, and the classroom is the child's studio. Now, obviously that has changed a little bit since we are virtual, but the first two remain the same, and now it's just their house instead of the studio. Or instead of the classroom, excuse me. So the reason that TAB has saved my sanity during distance learning is that I didn't have to worry about a lot of things that I know a lot of other art teachers were worried about. We didn't have to all do the same thing or use the same materials. We were already used to all making our own ideas. The kids were used to finding their own ideas and using what was available to create them. So we didn't have a huge shift when we went virtual last spring. A few things changed, obviously, but the overall structure and how we went about things stayed mostly the same. And we were able to enjoy the change of scenery and meet everybody's pets and invite parents to join us, and that might not have worked so well if we were worried about some people having colored pencil and other people having paint and what we were going to do that would work for everybody. So there were a lot of things that I heard a lot of people worrying about that I did not have to worry about, which was really nice. So here's how it works for us. Everybody is different, but we do some visual thinking strategies at the beginning, usually some art history or artist introductions, and then give some context to their work and look carefully at their work. I always start with an artwork, just like we did today. Then we do a mini lesson. That's where I introduce vocabulary, show demonstrations of techniques, talk about art concepts or artistic process. That's where the I'm going to teach you how to do this now part comes in. Once we've done that, we have student work time, and sometimes what the kids are working on matches what the mini lesson was, and sometimes they are working on something else. One of the nice things is that because everybody's working on their own thing, everybody hears all the different options, and I can introduce more because we don't have to spend 3 or 4 class times on one technique unless we want to. I can do lots of different ones, and then as students are ready to come back to some of those things they've been introduced to, they can watch the video version that I have stashed on my website so that they can come back and get those details again when they need it and when it's most useful to them. Whereas in class, it's an introduction and a taste so that when they're ready for it, they can come back to it. Once we've done our mini lesson, we move on to work time, and that's where we all act like artists. We make our artwork, we reflect, we do critiques, we share with other artists, we plan the next artwork. And then reflecting at the end of class, some artists will get up and share their work with the class to get ideas about what went well or what they might want to change. And then when an artist's work is finished, they write an artist statement. For my little kids, that is a couple of sentences that they can dictate. For my big kids, it is more specific questions and a self-assessment rubric that they do when they're done. So the things that changed when we did go virtual, were obviously I'm not getting paper art. They turn their artwork in on Google Docs or Google Forms. The younger ones use Docs because then they can use voice typing to tell me about it. The older ones use Forms so I can have the specific questions. The basics of how to set either of those up are in the resources for today in case that is something you are curious about. The materials got more diverse. In the classroom we have the usual art materials, but when we went home, I had kids making artwork out of their clothes or couch cushions or Minecraft design things or Procreate because they happen to have access to those at home, which was really cool. And we were able to do more digital art because we all had devices, which was not the case when we were in the building. So there's been more animation, there's been more photography that has expanded our available choices, which has been really nice. So we've been doing choice for well, as long as I've been at the school, we've been doing some form of choice. But when I got there, I wanted to slowly scaffold my students up to doing full choice and coming up with their own ideas, because if they don't have practice doing that, it can feel really intimidating. So when I got there, instead of just saying, go make some artwork, we all learned a couple techniques, and then I gave everybody a theme, and within that theme, they chose which techniques and which specific materials they wanted to do. So on your way to choice, whether you go all the way full, just go make some artwork, I'm going to show you cool things, or if you just want to add a little bit in, it is entirely possible to do it in small steps. The main places that you can add choices into your curriculum and your projects are the subject or theme. So you could pick a big theme and everybody would pick their own subject. You could give a couple of themes and let everybody pick from there. You can do material choices. You can do choice of technique. So you could say, we're all going to use drawing materials, and here are 4 or 5 different techniques. You pick which one makes the most sense for your artwork, or the same thing with painting or whatever. Here are 4 different ways to make prints. Pick one that you like the best. And the last one, and this one I think is one of the most important, is time. I have some artists who are super meticulous and look at every teeny tiny detail and spend a lot of time on one artwork, and that artwork is incredible. I have other artists who work very quickly and still take good care of their work, but it's not something that's going to take them most of a semester. That is okay. As long as I get something by the end of the semester for grading purposes, it doesn't matter to me whether you make 6 artworks or you make 1, as long as you're sharing your idea and you're doing your best. So that is another place that you can think about adding some choice in and some flexibility in. I hope this has whetted your appetite. My contact is on the screen. It is also in the resources that are available today. I am always happy to answer questions. The resources also have a couple of Facebook pages and info about all the stuff that I mentioned today. So check there, and if you don't have the answer that you are looking for, please do not hesitate to ask. And I will happily either try and answer or point you in the direction of someone who might be able to answer better than I can. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for spending some time with me.